first of all, what's the similarity between human beings and animals?
That they eat, sleep,
Making sleeping
That is
different.
similarity.
They eat, they sleep, they're in anxiety, and they reproduce. So what is it that the human being can do that differentiates human being from the animal?
You understand God, make an effort to
Ask why.
They can understand their constitutional position in relationship to Krishna or God. What is their constitutional position in relationship to Krishna?
We are eternal servants.
Yes, the eternal servant. And what is Krishna's constitutional position?
He's supreme
be the supreme.
personality,
Yes,
and he's the master. So the relation is servant and master.
he's the enjoyer. We're not the primary enjoyer, he's the primary enjoyer. He's the proprietor. He has unimaginable, infinite energies, powers, and so forth. Yeah. Okay, so I guess if we look at the second page, let's read that. Second page. The philosophy. There are many philosophies in the world. Go ahead. There are many philosophies in the world.
There are many, should I go ahead?
Yeah.
There are many philosophies which is called atheism. They think that consciousness is produced by the material combination and when consciousness is gone, that means the material composition could not tolerate or could not produce anything. They have got a different theory like that. But so far we are concerned, the Vedic literature or the Srimad Bhagavad Gita does not, accept this theory. Consciousness is eternal, and consciousness is the symptom of the soul. The soul is eternal. When the soul takes shelter in the matter, then the matter develops. Not that the combination of matter, you can produce soul. That is not possible. Now, if that would have been possible, then there are many great scientists and many scientific laboratories, especially in our Western countries, in Europe and America, but that is not possible. And you could produce great, complicated machinery, but you cannot produce the machine driver. The machine can be produced, but the machine driver cannot be produced. And without machine drivers, all machines are useless. All machines are useless. A child may see in the street, oh, how a nice motor car is passing with so much speed. He is struck with wonder that without any horsepower, how the motor car is going on. I mean, those who have no experience, how machine works, just like in India, of course. I heard the story from my professor when I was a student of logic in my IA class. And this example was given by my professor, Dr. Purna Chandra Sena. I still remember that when first railway was started from Howrah to Burdwan, about 64 miles during the British period, say about 200 years before, now the cultivators on both sides of the line, they were seeing the railway engine going with wonder. Oh, now this story hypothesis. In logic, there is a chapter of hypothesis. So somebody suggests it is horseless. So the hypothesis was that there must be horses within the engine, otherwise it cannot go. So similarly, the machine, however wonderful it may be, so if not horse, at least if there is no driver, it cannot move. It cannot move. The whole world is moving by a combination of matter and spirit. That's all. The whole material world, just like my body is moving due to the presence of myself as soul, similarly, it is very easy to understand the whole cosmic manifestation is working due to the presence of the Supreme Soul, whom we call God or the Super Soul or Paramatma or Bhagwan. Whatever name you may call, that doesn't matter. But you must understand that as without presence of the soul, the body cannot move. Similarly, the whole materialistic world, cosmic atmosphere is moving due to the presence of the super soul. Now, in Bhagavad Gita, you will find that we individual souls are part and parcels of the super soul. So we've got eternal relationship with the Supreme Soul, qualitatively and not quantitatively. We are the one with the Supreme qualitatively. Just like a drop of ocean water qualitatively is equal to the mass of water in the ocean. The mass of water in the ocean is salty, and the drop of ocean water, if you taste it, you will find it also salty. So the chemical composition of the water, either in the drop or in the vast mass, is the same. But the drop of ocean water is never equal to the vast. I mean to mass water in the ocean. Now that is our position. We are in quality, just God is. Similarly, we are also in quality, the same chemically or constitutionally. But God's power and my power is different. Just like a mass of water in the ocean, it can play a havoc, but a drop of water, it is not possible by the drop of water.
Okay, so here, Prabhupada summarizes the atheist's point of view. The atheist's point of view is that everything is made of matter. They don't accept the existence of the soul. And consciousness is a product of matter in some advanced stage of its development. And when the body dies, consciousness. Anything like that in your classes? In school?
No.
Have you heard anything like that? Okay, so this is called a mechanistic point of view. Like, you have a machine, right? You buy a machine, then you'll see that there's a schematic drawing showing you all the parts of the machine. And even a simple machine could have 100 or more parts. A more complicated machine could have thousands of parts. So they draw the picture of each part, and they draw a line to where it should be in the machine, right? I don't know if you've seen any charts like that. So they know everything about the machine, but they claim that the body is the same thing. Everything in the body is like in a machine. And they've studied the body, and they say, this is the heart, this is the liver, this is the gallbladder, this is this bone, this vein, that artery, this thing, that thing, right? But yet, they create the machine, they're not able to create the body. Why? Because the body is not just matter. It's matter and spirit. In fact, everything you see is matter and spirit. Even this couch here. No. But is the super soul in every part of this couch? Yes or no? Yes.
Yes.
So therefore, it's made of matter and spirit.
Could you just tell that again for me?
This couch, is it made of matter and spirit, or just made of matter? Matter and spirit. Well, is there an individual jiva soul in this? No. Then what spirit are we talking about?
The super soul.
Super soul. Super soul's in every atom in this. Years from now, and look at this. God, it's going to look a little different than it looks now. Why? Because it's deteriorated over time.
Okay.
and we can't see it because it's moving very slowly on an atomic level. But it's changing also, just like your body is changing all the time. Right? So everything in this world is made of matter and spirit. The scientists say spirit for them doesn't exist. In other words, they refuse to accept the existence of the spirit or soul because they can't measure it. If you can't measure it, it doesn't exist for them. But is that true? That because you cannot measure the soul, it doesn't exist? The atom. Well, sometimes they claim they've measured an atom, but it's just an approximation because they've never seen an atom. They see molecules, but they're a collection of many atoms. But they've never seen, I mean, you studied science, have they seen the atom?
No.
No. So, and for them it doesn't exist. But they have to admit, though, that their senses are imperfect. They can't measure it because their senses, even with magnifying glasses and different instruments, are not powerful enough to see such small things. In fact, it's an interesting point. If you look in chapter 8 of Bhagavad Gita, verse number 3. Okay, one second. Let me see here. One second. Yeah, I'm sorry. Chapter 8, verse 9. It says, in the almost halfway down in that one paragraph, it says, the living entity is 1/10,000th part of the tip of a hair. But the Lord is so inconceivably small that he enters into the heart of this particle. Therefore he is called smaller than the smallest. As the Supreme, he can enter into the atom and into the heart of the smallest and control him as the Supersoul. Although so small, he is still all-pervading and is maintaining everything. By him, all these planetary systems are sustained. We often wonder how these big planets are floating in the air. It is stated here that the Supreme Lord, by his inconceivable energy, is sustaining all these big planets and systems of galaxies. The word achintya is very significant in this. God's energy is beyond our conception, beyond our thinking jurisdiction, and is therefore called inconceivable, achintya. Who can argue this point? He pervades this material world and yet is beyond it. We cannot comprehend even this material world, which is insignificant compared to the spiritual world. So how can we comprehend what is beyond? Achintya means that which is beyond this material world, that which our argument, logic, and philosophical speculation not touch, that which is inconceivable. Therefore, intelligent persons, avoiding useless argument and speculation, should accept what is stated in the scriptures like the Vedas, Bhagavad Gita, and Srimad Bhagavatam, and follow the principles they set down. That will lead one to understanding. So here we see a major difference between material science, which is based on mechanistic principles. In other words, we see, they draw a schematic drawing of a machine, they can show you every part and how it fits together, and when it's all together, they plug it in the electrical circuit and it starts running. So, did the machine make itself? No. Can it plug itself into the wall? You need the machinist, right? To put all the parts of the machine together and then plug it in. Yeah. The machine cannot function on its own. It's not a separate person. So the scientists, because they can make a machine and they know every part, they think the human body is like that. It's just another machine. And they have mapped out the human body. And they claim to map out the DNA and the RNA and this thing and that thing. But yet they can't. They say. Why? Because the human being is not just matter. They can't. Oh, they're talking about artificial intelligence. You still need the human being to manufacture the computer, to maintain it running, to repair it when it breaks down, and so forth, and to program it. So, this is the concept. Part of it is that if you can't measure something, then it doesn't really exist. How are you going to measure the supersoul, which enters into the heart of and the jiva is 1/10,000th the tip of a hair. Already that we can explain it, 1/10,000th the tip of a hair, but you cannot see it. It's smaller than an atom. Okay. Are you trying to measure 1/10,000th the tip of your brother's hair? Yeah, I mean, you can. And then enters in the heart, then the smallest thing. And he enters into every atom of the universe. So, here Prabhupada says, all machines are useless. Without the machine driver, all machines are useless. Just like, have you ever seen the junkyard of airplanes? No? There are junkyards you've seen junkyards of cars, right? There's also junkyards of airplanes.
I've seen pictures.
You've seen pictures, right? So, do those airplanes work? No. They're junked. Right? They're machines, right? And all the parts are there, or maybe some of them are there. And it looks like an airplane, but unless there's a pilot, it doesn't run. A pilot and the maintenance people. Right? So it's the same with the body. Unless the soul is present, it doesn't function. And a dead person has a body, but it doesn't function because the human being is more than simply a body. It's soul and body. So this is the point that Prabhupada is making. He says the whole world is moving by a combination of matter and spirit. The whole material world. But the scientists, the PhDs, the Nobel laureates, the Nobel Prize winners, right? They don't accept it. And they're trying to reproduce it with artificial intelligence also. So they have computers that talk to you. They have computers and robots, and the robots manufacture cars or certain functions of manufacturing a car, and so forth. So they can make these very complicated machines. They still have not been able to make a person. But they can't even make an egg. They can make something that looks like it. Although they know everything in the egg. They know all the chemicals in the egg. The egg is pretty simple. You have that shell, you have the egg yolk, and you have the eye of the egg. That's it. It's not complicated, right? And they know all the chemicals in it. They know everything about it. But they can't even produce it. They can't even produce an ant. Right? They can take the ant, analyze it under a microscope. They know every part of the ant, but they can't make an ant. So that's because there's something that they refuse to recognize. That is, that everything is made of matter and spirit, as Prabhupada says here. The whole world, the whole universe. Are there any questions about that?
So how do you differentiate the matter and spirit? If everything is matter and spirit, then what is matter and
Matter is dead. Spirit is alive. Body minus spirit. What, is it dead or alive?
But the body, even after the spirit, is matter and spirit, because it's going to decay after some time. It's going to change. It's not going to stay as it is. So how do you define the matter?
It's not conscious.
So this sofa is matter and spirit now, right? When you call, then how do you define matter in the sofa?
Well, it's matter and spirit. Okay. What do you want to know about it?
How do you define a matter in the sofa?
Well,
It will not change.
all the time.
So that's why it's matter and spirit.
You can never separate matter from the supersoul. Like you can't separate it from the jiva. Krishna is mysteriously all-pervading. That means he's in everything. So you can never disassociate matter from the supersoul. You can try. You could burn it even. It still would not be disassociated from Krishna. Okay. But you can disassociate the jiva from matter. Because jiva is not Krishna. So the jiva leaves one body and then enters another body. Okay, in the material world. Or the jiva gets liberated and attains its eternal spiritual body. You won't see it on the material plane anymore. But the answer is it's never disassociated. Krishna is present in every atom of matter. Although, when there's a dissolution of the material world, dissolution of the material world, one second, I'll show you where you'll read this. Just one second. Okay, 15th chapter, 18th verse. Take a look at that. It says,
15, 18. One five one eight.
oh, wait a minute, let's see. 1 second. Wow. Got the wrong. Maybe- Why? Super slow. Okay, we're gonna have to come back to this point. Because I don't have the right. I don't have the right reference. I wrote down the wrong reference. Interesting. Oh no, here it is. Okay, I'm sorry. Yeah, 1518. It says, the last paragraph, the Supreme Lord, in his localized aspect of Paramatma, is also described in the Vedas themselves. The following verse appears in the Vedas, Chandogya Upanishad 8:12. Out of the body enters the impersonal Brahma Jyoti. Then, in his form, he remains in his spiritual identity. That supreme is called the Supreme Personality. This means that the Supreme Personality is exhibiting and diffusing his spiritual effulgence, which is the ultimate illumination. The Supreme Personality also has a localized aspect as Paramatma. By incarnating himself as the son of Satyavati and Parasura, meaning Vedavyas, he explains the Vedic knowledge as Vyasadeva. So, one can, when eventually the supersoul exits the body. It could be human body, it could be this couch, right? And enters the impersonal Brahman. The matter goes back into its potential state, where it becomes energy instead of matter. So at a certain point, energy becomes matter. And then at another point, the matter goes back to energy. And the supersoul leaves the matter and goes back to the... Okay, now, the matter leaves every atom of this couch, right? What happens to the matter? It returns back to the supersoul goes the called Mahat Tattva, and the unmanifest state of Mahat Tattva is called Pradhana. And in the Pradhana state, the time factor, the three modes of material nature stop, invisible. It's in a potential energy of inertia. Inertia means it's not moving anymore, it's not interacting, because time principle is not acting, and the modes of material nature are not acting. And the supersoul is not present matter goes through two phases, vyakta and avyakta. So when the supersoul returns back to Brahmajyoti, matter returns back to that potential inertial state of absolute, let's say, stillness.
Avyakta form.
Huh?
That unmanifested.
Unmanifest state. There's no more movement, there's no more interaction, there's no more modes of material nature acting on it. Okay. And it's more difficult to understand matter than to understand spirit. Spirit is eternally manifest, eternally active. Matter goes back into this absolute still inertial state called avyakta, and it becomes interacting. There's no forms. It's just a potential state. Potential means it's energy that is not moving, and you can't see it. There are many mysterious things that happen when there's a dissolution of the material world.
It's the state where the creation didn't happen, about to happen.
What?
It's a state before the creation happens. Like
Yes.
now, things are back to
Yes.
manifest.
Yeah. Okay. 15:18 it says, the supersoul coming out of the body enters the impersonal Brahmajyoti. Then in his form, he remains in his spiritual identity. So, someone has to be right now. I can try and find it out. We'll give more information about it. But we do know that matter goes through vyakta and avyakta, manifest state and unmanifest state. In the unmanifest state, called pradhana, matter is no longer interacting and it's no longer visible, it's invisible. It still exists, but you can't detect. The modes of material nature and time factor animate the matter, and it starts interacting and becomes manifest. And then only because the super soul enters into it. Only because the super soul enters. So Einstein was talking about things like this when he says E equals mc squared. In other words, energy becomes matter at a certain point. How that happens is not clearly understood. And when something is in a potential, when it's potential energy, your body, no, with your eyes, no. You can detect the effect of it. So you open the television, you see things. It's receiving electromagnetic waves. Do you have an antenna in the house?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the antenna is picking up those waves and showing you the images. But you can't detect them with your body. So, see, scientists, they also are dealing with invisible things. But they don't say it doesn't exist, they say it exists. But there are other invisible things that they're not. If they had the instrument to perceive it, then they would say it exists. But they don't have an instrument, they say it doesn't exist. Just like if someone is blind and you say, oh, the sun is so shiny today, they say, I don't believe you because I can't see it. Does that mean the sun is not shining because the blind man can't see it? Right? He doesn't have the eyes to see it, somebody else does. So he's trying to describe it to him, and he said, no, because I don't see it, I don't accept that it exists. So same thing with the scientists. They didn't know about electromagnetic waves. But then certain people discovered, they knew about static electricity, they didn't know about electromagnetic waves. But then people, scientists and mathematicians, they say such things should exist. And then the scientists experimented, like Tesla and Marconi and Jagadish Chandra Bose, and they discovered how to liberate electromagnetic waves from static energy, and then they demonstrated it, in the 1890s, and people were amazed. They still can't see those waves, but then they saw the effect of them. And now we're seeing it all the time. Waves going through your house?
No.
No. You see it, if you look up in the sky, you see them. So it's something invisible, some kind of energy that's invisible, and it's carrying all that information, right? So you can't deny it. And there are more subtle things, such as the super soul, such as the soul. You can't see them, you can't measure them, but they exist. You can see the effect. The effect is the consciousness in the body. But the scientists are so arrogant, they say, oh, consciousness is simply an advanced stage of material combination. It's completely ridiculous. If it's an advanced stage of material combination, why don't they create it? Why don't they produce it? Okay. So does that answer your question? What happens to the matter? How do you differentiate between the matter and the spirit? Okay, so now we come back here. So you read some more?
Similarly, that is the difference between ourselves and God. We are minute particles just like the sun and the sun rays. The sunshine, the sun rays, they are also a combination of molecules and some shining material. So shining material, so that sunshine is not different from the sun, but at the same time sunshine is not the sun. Now this is called simultaneously one and different. This philosophy was, expounded by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Achintya Bheda Bheda, Achintya Bheda Bheda, simultaneously, and one and the position intact. That is true, that theoretically we understand that I am not this body, but I am consciousness, pure soul. That is a theoretical, not theoretical, but it is practical. Anyone can understand. Any sane man can understand that I am not this body, I am the soul.
So now we see there are a lot of insane people in this world. A lot. And how did they become insane? By being done by the modern science claim. There's no such thing as a soul. And if there is a soul, it's a combination of matter or chemicals. Go ahead.
Now to keep myself fixed up in that conviction, we require to work for it. Otherwise, as I was explaining to you, just like a child, a boy he is, very much addicted to play. But if you want to give him, if you want to stop his mischievous activities, and if you want to stop him, then you must give him some good engagement. Now, if you simply stop the child that don't play by threatening or by some other way, you can stop him artificially for some time, but as soon as he gets the opportunity, he will again play. So you must engage him with some good tasks so that he may have attraction and he may be engaged in that good task so that he may not spoil or waste his time by playing or by mischievous consciousness playing. If you do not give engagement to the consciousness, then natural consciousness will act through this body. Now we have to act in such a way that at the present moment I am within this body, and so we have to make utilization of a bad bargain. Now I don't require this body. Somehow or the other I am now entrapped or encaged in this material body, and all my sufferings are due to this body. Therefore the whole aim of human life is to get away from this material body. Now in order to achieve this end of life, we have to begin a professional spiritual life. That professional spiritual life is stated in the Bhagavad Gita. कर्मण्ये वादिकारस्य मा फलेषु कदाचन मा कर्म फलहेतुः मा ते संगोपकर्मणि. Karma. Karma means work. Karma means work, and one should not think that because I am not this body, so I shall cease to work. No, you cannot cease to work. If you cease to work, then idle brain will be a devil's workshop. No, we have to work. So therefore the Lord says the technique of acting on the spiritual platform is that you have your right to act and you have your right to act according to your position. But karmane vadhikarasya tu ma phaleshu kadachana, but you should not desire to enjoy the fruits of your activity. That is the technique.
So here we see an amazing explanation. Prabhupada is explaining professional spiritual life. Right? Have you ever heard this in relationship to Karmani Vadhikarasya? It's one of the most famous verses of the Bhagavad Gita, quoted by everybody. Every Mayavadi quotes this verse. But do they give this explanation? Now you see the value of coming in contact with a genuine Vaishnava like Prabhupada. Gives you the real understanding. There's so many false interpretations of this verse in India, it's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Anybody know one false interpretation of this verse? You must, because it's interpreted all the time in India. Karmani vadikaras. And you ever hear false? No?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe there is.
I think they think that do your karma but don't worry about your don't do your karma but don't worry about your the fruits.
Wait a minute, okay, wait a minute, let me get it. Do your karma. Huh?
Yes, but don't
Think
worry.
of the result.
Don't worry about your results.
Don't expect the results.
Expect the result.
Not expect. Don't worry about the results. There are difference between worry and then expect. The expectation is the
No, expectation means like I want this and
Don't expect
this and all.
results. Yeah.
not expect, because there is subtle difference. Expectation is like no one, everyone should actually, that is correct. Like you should not expect anything basically. But what they think is that you do your karma just and leave it. Don't worry about what will happen. Don't worry. Yeah.
God.
Yeah. Leave it to God. Don't worry. It's because you are just entitled to work.
Doing your karma.
Don't worry about your results of it.
Does it matter what kind of work you do?
Yeah, that they don't talk about it. Any work.
Any work, right?
Any work.
Yeah.
The any work over here would be your general duty.
In the Hindi, I don't know, but you understand. But kam karo phal ki chinta mat karo. That's what they say. I mean, they have translation. Gita Sar.
Kam karo, that means do your work.
Chinta mat karo.
Don't worry about the results.
Don't
Don't
get
worry
Chinta
about the fruits.
karo.
Chinta mat karo.
Yeah,
Chinta mat
karo.
karo. So chinta means worry.
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 Mat
Mat
karo.
karo. Yeah.
Okay.
Karma karo.
General understanding of this verse. Now, let's compare that with what Prabhupada says. The technique of acting on the spiritual platform is that you have your right to act. You have your right to act according to your position. But, karmani vadikaraste ma phalesu kadachana. But you should not desire to enjoy the fruit of your activity. Is that understood here also? Kam karo falke chinta.
Worry about
Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Don't
Don't
worry
worry
about
about
the result. It's like that they will earn and send you money. Your job is to just educate
Just do
them.
it.
So that
Just
kind of
So
Do
bring
work.
kids you bring up, right?
Yeah.
Don't
You
expect
raise your kid,
anything.
okay?
You don't expect that they will do something at
Returns
later
to you
stage,
or-
that they will look after you or
or he
No,
will
no,
you could do the
no. You are
design.
again mixing. I'm telling you, expectation and chinta is different, because it literally, if you say, it is
so.
anything.
What do you mean by no
Don't
expectation?
expect
What do you mean by that?
Hmm?
No expectation? Is that what you
No expectation means just like a karma. I will relate it to a karma. Because you are doing something. Okay, it's not exactly that, but
It's not a
you're doing
karma.
some
Karma you're doing for
you are
Krishna.
not
For Krishna,
yeah,
right?
for Krishna, yeah.
Yeah.
But still, it is we are not expecting anything out of it. Here, what they mean is not expectation. Is don't worry. You know what your expectation and worry is two totally different things, right? One is
But in
expectation.
this example where Mataji was saying is that you do your duty, don't expect the result, right? In the same, the kids when you grow.
No, no, no.
So I just gave back expectations when you have, they say don't do that. Your job is to do your duty
Yeah.
and don't think about the results.
Yeah, don't think about the result. Don't worry about the results. What will happen?
I think Rohit, there are two multiple flavors. One is worry, another is expectation.
Yeah.
That
No,
is
but
my-
they both, in case, sometimes they use the expectations, sometimes they use for like, don't get tense. But in case of the father and mother expecting from is expect anything. To do a work, let us suppose I am doing a work in office, I don't want to get like whether I will get a promotion or I will get an increment or I will get a good position. There is the meaning you don't expect, not get worried about it.
Yeah, your job is to go and work properly and come. You don't think about the result, whether
Result
you will
about
get a promotion or anything like that. So
Yeah.
they would say like that.
Okay. All right, so then, but wait a minute, there's some more explanation here. So, you should not desire to enjoy the fruit of activity. But you should not but karmani vadikara say mafale sukadacha. But you should not desire to enjoy the fruit of your activity. That is the technique. You should not desire to enjoy the fruit of activity. Then, if I want to enjoy the fruit of my activity, then what it will be? Suppose I am a businessman. I have made a profit of $10 million. So do you mean to say that I shall not enjoy this huge amount of money? I shall throw it away? Oh, yes. The Bhagavad Gita says that Mahafale Sukadachana. You cannot take the fruitive result of your work. Then if I do it, then what it will be? Now he said, Makarma Phala Hetu Bhuhu. Don't be the cause of your activities. Then you will be bound by the interaction of your activity. Don't be cause of your activity. Then you shall be bound up by the effects of your activity. You don't be cause, then effect will not touch you. Mafalesu, ma karma phala hetu bhur, mate sangastu akarman. Then if you say, better I shall not do anything. No, that also will not be permitted. You cannot stop acting. At the same time, you cannot take the result of your activity. And if you think that, oh, I am not going to, just like in India, one business friend, he was selling my books, he was telling, we are not going to make any huge business this year because if we do business, the profit is more. The whole thing will be taken by government, by income tax. So we are stopping to work to have more business. This is the position because our mind is so inclined. Then I am disciplined. Perhaps you know, there is a proverb in English, proprietorship turns sand into gold. A person working on his own account, oh, he can turn sand into gold. But a person working for others' account, oh, that is not possible. He will be slow. He will be slow because the purpose is that, why shall I work so hard? It will be enjoyed, meaning by another. Just like our business friend was speaking to me that, why shall we work so hard and make huge profits? The whole thing will be taken by the government. But here the Lord says, you cannot stop your work. Neither you can enjoy the activities, the fruit of your activities. That is the work on spiritual plane. Okay, so let's come back. I mean, it's the first line. Karmani Varikaraste, Mafale Sukadacha. So they interpret that first line as Falke Chin Karo. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are desiring for the fruit. We are desiring for the fruit, but we are not worried about it. Desire is there in the heart.
Prabhu, it's kind of interpreted
But I'm not
both
worried
either
about
it.
body or expectation. It's kind of
Okay. But do they have an expectation of the fruit?
Yes.
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 I would say
I
no.
understand your question.
No.
Meaning it just chinta mat karo is like no expectation. Meaning
Correct.
just do your
Yeah,
job and don't
exactly.
expect or
Yeah.
worry
So it's
about
like-
anything.
So what if the owner says, look, Karmani Vadikara Simafala Sukadachi, I'm not going to pay you at the end of the week. Because you have to do your duty, you have to follow Krishna's instruction. Do your duty, don't worry about the result. Is that,
No, if he says beforehand he's not going to pay, then probably we
Nobody
not
will go and work.
so that's the proof that they have attachment to the result.
Yeah,
most
of course.
us have that.
Yeah. Prabhu,
Yeah, there
we are not saying like when we do a work, we will get some money, either $100, $500 or $1,000, but we'll get money. In turn, we'll get something. What really means is that you have to do, but don't expect like we get $100, $500, $1,000. Like
But you will get something.
you get something, and we also let us suppose we go for a work and we do work, we get promotion, we definitely accept the promotion, right? If you offered it, right? So they don't say don't accept the fruit is not a concept at all. But if you get it, accept it.
This is that you work only because you get a promotion. If that is the expectation, then that's wrong. That's
Just
what the
work,
meaning.
just do the work.
Get the
Think about
promotion.
the end result
Yeah,
so
that's,
soon.
that's
Yeah.
right. But if you're working to just get the promotion, then that's.
But let's say you've been working 10 years and you never got any promotion. Would they still say, just do the work?
Yeah, just do the work. Don't worry about whether you will get it or not.
No, but let's say you don't get it for 10
Nowadays,
Prabhu,
no,
I think what we are
That's
saying
right.
is a very ideal situation, but don't expect anything back. But nobody does or follows that. I don't.
No,
See,
that's a
that-
different question.
that is
If you
different.
follow the Rama, that's a different story.
So there are
But this is what Gita
there are
Sar.
people-
I mean, they have the Gita Sarins like
No, but the
very
point,
common
but
in
I'm trying to
India.
make the point. You worked 10 years
Yeah.
and you were not worrying about it, but you were assuming that you would get it because you did really hard work and good
Yeah.
work, right? You didn't get it. So you go up to the boss and you say, Baba, I've been working 10 years,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because in a time you give me a a raise or some promotion. Prabhu, Karmani Bhai
No, at that time, Prabhu, they will say that there is a Bhagwan के पास देर है लेकिन अंधेर नहीं है. मैं देर means late but not darkness.
What?
So in that case, God in the God's presence there is a delay but not darkness. So delay means like you are expecting 10 years, right? So
At
it
some
can be
point you will
delayed,
get it.
but not in total darkness.
But
Darkness
is that,
means what?
is it there in some verse anywhere? I don't know.
Yeah,
This is a common saying.
That's a
saying
common
there-
saying, but is it there
there and
somewhere?
there.
there
There
है,
and
अंधेर
there.
नहीं.
So, I'm asking, is it really written somewhere in our Vedas?
No.
Yeah.
These are just a saying.
Just to say, yeah, no.
These are the very popular
So
sayings.
after 10 years, if the CEO says, kam karo falte chinta mat karo,
Yeah. Yeah.
would you accept that?
Yeah, so if the person says that and if he is spiritual, he will be satisfied because he is doing his duty.
You'll be satisfied?
Yeah.
Not getting any promotion?
There are people in Indian government sectors, they are working in ISRO and all like renowned institutions, they are doing the research and they are doing their work and they are like happy doing that years and they are not getting promotions or like, because there are no positions which are available. The person who become a VP, if there is a VP there and there is only one position and other persons are there, they are not getting their promotion unless there is a retirement. And those persons are still happily working there.
They don't have
So
option.
there is no expectation for
They
themselves.
don't have
is
option.
less.
Expectation,
No,
but they get a lot of income.
That is becomes the option. Government organization.
What are I saying? But they are doing their duty with the same kind of intention they have for their work. It's not like they are having I will get a promotion, that's why
I'm
I'm
trying to
working.
see, just trying to see what, because many people interpret this, Karmani Vadikara.
Yeah, yeah.
There is one more interpretation which is said mostly in India that karma yoga is bhakti yoga. So you do your work and by doing your work like as a worshipping, you will be able to achieve the God.
So
Yeah.
work is worship.
Work is
Yeah.
worship, yeah.
Work is worship.
This is another.
So Prabhu, there's a women's conference here. I forgot the name. So Satya Nadella, CEO of Microsoft, he was in the panel, and they're talking about less pay to women in IT, and then he referred it to like you
Work is worship.
rely on karma.
Yeah, he talks a lot about karma, right?
Yeah, and then it become a big issue about that.
Well, the women will get really upset.
Yeah,
What do you mean?
so he did
My
refer
karma,
to karma.
my karma will be paid less than
You'll be paid by your karma.
this jerk male here. So he actually said that.
Yes, in Grace Hopper conference then.
Right, is there on you?
Yeah, it became a big issue. He has to apologize.
He apologized.
Yeah, I think so.
He's a coward.
Yeah.
Well, then what interpretation did he mean?
You need to see
So
the-
there is always the issue of why the women are less paid from the remuneration.
It's their karma.
Yeah, so that's what he was saying.
Well, let's see. What does it mean? You mean God doesn't want the women to make as much money as the men?
No, he was like, you'll get your returns based on.
Karma.
He referred-
Meaning,
Karma is the
probably he
karma.
meant that you will get paid.
Saying women,
Yeah.
the women are not working the same level as hard as men.
No, he tried to say that everybody is getting paid as probably his
Karma
meaning
here
was than whatever it might be.
Okay, so, but Prabhupada makes another point. That is, he's saying that his distributor, this commercial company that was trying to distribute his books in India, they said at a certain point, we're not going to try to sell any more books because we'll make more profit, and I guess there's different levels of profit and taxes on those levels. So when you go from one level to another, you end up paying almost 100% profit, 100% of your profit. So therefore, they said we're going to stop selling the books at this point. Let's say they're in October, and they said, well, we've already done this much business, and we're in this lower tax bracket. But if we do more business, we'll go into a higher tax bracket, and we'll just be giving all the money to the government. So therefore, we're not going to work. So what Prabhupada is saying here is, this is the position, because our mind is so inclined that if I cannot enjoy the fruit of my activities, then I am disinclined. So, you gave the example that there's some government workers, and for years they're working very hard, but they're not getting any promotion. But they're proud of the fact that they're doing the work. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
And because they interpret this verse karmani vadikaraste, that you must do your duty but not worry about
They're
the result.
satisfied basically. I mean, they can change their job.
Yeah,
They are
exactly.
not
They are satisfied. They are
They are
not.
satisfied.
They don't want to change the job because it's a government job. So people don't want to leave government
No,
job
but
in
it's
India.
not, doesn't mean that they are not working. They are also working hard. They are
Everybody is
producing
working,
results,
Prabhu.
actually.
Everybody is
government
working.
job means you won't get fired.
Government job is the top priority in India. Now earlier actually, now it's different. But
Because you get good
once you get it,
retirement.
there is no
Pensions are
pension.
there, then you are like
pension and there is no hiring and firing. Once you join, at the end of retirement, nobody is going to fire you. That's kind of a facility. So government kind of a stable job. People see this as a stable job.
So if a person is having government job versus private job, if he has to get married, people will prefer the
Prefer
government job.
job.
Per
Their daughter-
Security.
Yeah, security,
Job
stability.
security.
Job security and stability. Yeah.
Okay. Now we have to understand this very cautiously. The first thing is that karmani vadikaraste. Everybody has got his particular position. And according to his position, there's particular work also. That is the system all over the world. Now, according to Bhagavad Gita, by the division, not according to Bhagavad Gita. According to Vedic conception of life, the human society is divided into 4 divisions according to the quality of work. In Bhagavad Gita also we find Chaturvarnya Maya System Guna Karma Vibhagas. 4:13. The caste system, Chaturvarnya. Perhaps you have heard about Indian caste system. That caste system is natural. Of course, in India it has become a hereditary thing, but this caste system is all over the universe, even amongst the animal society. The division of caste is made according to quality and work. Quality and work. Now that caste system, that quality and work, is divided according to, quality means quality of the material modes of nature. There are 3 qualities by which the material world is moving. The quality of goodness, passion, and ignorance. Those who are situated on the quality of goodness, they are called Brahmanas, and their symptoms are also mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. I shall give you a statement of those systems. I guess he meant symptoms. Now, those who are situated in the quality of goodness, they are called Brahmanas. That quality of goodness is current all over the universe. So anyone situated in that quality, he is Brahmana. And those who are situated in the quality of passion, they are called Kshatriyas. And those who are situated in the quality of mixed ignorance and passion, they are called Vaishyas, or mercantile community. And those who are situated in the quality of ignorance, they are called Sudras, or laborer class. So in this way, there are different classes and different castes all over the world. You may call it caste, or division of labor, or division of society. These 4 divisions are there all over the universe. The intelligent class, the administrative class, the productive class, and the laborer class. So the intelligent class, they have got separate department of duty. The administrative class, they have got separate department of duty. Similarly, the mercantile class, they have got separate department, and the laborer class, they have only one activity to serve the others. That's all. Because they cannot do anything independently, therefore they have to offer the service to the higher class. He's talking about Sudras. To the administrative class, or the mercantile class, or intelligent class, and take some payment for his livelihood. So these divisions. So Lord says, according to your quality, you have to do your duty. Hereditary or by your own choice, you have your own duty. But there is no question that one should be idle. Now, if you're intelligent class, then you have to take the intelligent quality of work. Just like you must become a scientist, you must become a politician, or not politician, philosopher. You must be a religionist, or so many intelligent class work. So you must engage in that way if you are actually intelligent. If you belong to the intelligent class, now, if you are administrative class, then you must take to the politics or election. Be elected the mayor, be elected the president, or something like that, and work in that way. And if you belong to the mercantile class, then you must do business, produce agricultural grains, and distribute them. That is your business. In the Bhagavad Gita, you'll find that the mercantile class, who are mercantile class, Krishigoraksha Vanijyam, Vaishya Karma Swabhavajam. 1844. Vaishya means mercantile class. They are meant for giving protection to the animals, produce grain, and distribute and trade on them. That's all. Because formerly there was no industry. People generally depended on agricultural work. Therefore, a mercantile community, they used to produce food grains and distribute them. Protection of the cow was their duty. As the king was entrusted to protect the life of the citizens, similarly the Vaishya class, or the mercantile class, they were entrusted to protect the life of cow. Why particularly cow is protected? Because milk is very essential food for human society. Therefore, cow protection is the duty of human society. That is the conception of Vedic literature. Now the Lord says that karmani vadikadaste. Now, according to your quality and according to your position, you have to work. You cannot stop working. But you should not enjoy the fruit. In other way, This is a conception of spiritual communism. Spiritual communism. Now, just like in communist country, the center is the state. Nobody is private proprietor. But everyone is a member of the state, and whatever he earns, it goes to the state. So far I know this is the communistic idea. Now here, if I am not entitled to take the result of my labor by my activity, then whom it is going to? Who shall enjoy it? So that is the conception of spiritual life. That means your earnings should be distributed to the central point. It should be through the central point. The central point is God. Instead of making central point to any limited things, if you make the central point God, and if you work on His behalf, and if you think that it should be enjoyed by the Supreme Lord, then your spiritual life is fixed up. Then your spiritual life is fixed up. You are not discouraged to produce, but the production or the entire result of your work, the fruitive result, should go to somebody. And who is that somebody? If you are not going to enjoy, then who is going to enjoy? That means this should be enjoyed by everyone through the central point of God. Just like the state realizes taxes from you, the taxes are distributed. Tax is distributed throughout the state. So you deposit tax to the state and it is distributed throughout the whole state. Similarly, if your fruitive result is offered to the Supreme Lord, then your fruitive result is distributed to everyone. Central point, that is the spiritual state. Now how to do it? If you say, where is God? Where is God? Whom to offer my fruitive results? That point is answered by devotional service. Devotional service. Now if you engage your money for the service of the Lord, then that means you are offering to the Lord for the service of the Lord. Now what is this service? What is the service of the Lord? The service of the Lord, so far Bhagavad Gita is concerned, the Lord says, Yada yada hitarmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuttanam adharmasya tadatmanam sujamya. Wherever there is any flaw in the standard process of religiosity, at that time I take my incarnation and I come on this earth. So this is a fact. The whole material nature is working under the superintendence of the Supreme Lord. Now whenever there is any discrepancy, just to rectify, sometimes punishment is given, or sometimes the Lord comes Himself, or sometimes He sends His representative, and sometimes He leaves some books of knowledge. In this way, the whole process from God's side is to put ourselves always on the right path. That is the process going on. Now, just like in your Christian religion, Lord Jesus Christ, He claimed Himself that He is coming from God, as Son of God, to reclaim back to Godhead, back home. That is the mission. Every reformer, every great religious leader, or God Himself, has come on this earth to reclaim the conditioned souls back to Godhead, back to the kingdom of God. That is the whole idea of incarnation. Now, at the present moment, not at the present moment, practically always, people by material contact, they forget their relationship with the Supreme Lord, their constitutional position. Now this, whatever we earn, if not the whole thing, but at least some portion of our income, we engage in the service of the Lord for propagating the teaching of God consciousness. That is engaging our fruitive activities, the result of our fruitive activities in the service of God. And another thing, if we want to prosecute our spiritual life, then there are certain formulas. Certain formulas mean that we should not take more than what we need. We should not take more than what we need. We should not neglect also that the portion which we actually need, but at the same time we should not accumulate more than what we need. There are 6 formulas. There are 6 formulas for spiritual life, in favor and in disfavor. There are 6 formulas, which if we follow those 6 formulas, then our spiritual life will be developed gradually. And there are 6 formulas which we follow. Then our spiritual life will be degraded. So both ways there are 6 formulas. I may present those 6 formulas. For all the favorable 6 formulas are Utsahan Nishchayat Daryat Tatat Karma Pavartana Sangatyagat Sata Vrite Sadbir Bhakti Prasiddhati. Videshamrita 3. Utsahat. Utsahat means you must be very much enthusiastic that in this life, in this human form of life, I must complete my spiritual consciousness or God consciousness so that in the next life I may not have this material body. That is called utsahat. Utsahat means very much enthusiastic. Just like a man is very much enthusiastic that in this life I must accumulate $10 million in the bank. And he does work with great enthusiasm. Similarly, we must have also similar enthusiasm. In this very life, in this very human form of life, I must make my spiritual life perfect so that after leaving this body, I may not come again to this material world. That is called utsaha, enthusiasm. Utsahad darya. Darya means patience. Patience. That may be there may be so many obstacles in prosecuting our spiritual life, but we should patiently go forward. We shall not be
Certain. It is certain.
Well, I think it means discouraged. Utsahat daryat nishchaya. And with confidence. With confidence. Because I am following, just like Bhagavad Gita is standard book. If not Bhagavad Gita, take Bible or Quran. Whatever you like. Now there are some formulas for prosecuting spiritual life. So one must have confidence that because I am following the standard method, so my spiritual life will really be perfected. We must have this confidence. And that is a fact. Utsahat. First, enthusiasm. Second, patience. Then third, confidence. Nishchayat. Daryat. Utsahat. Daryat. Nishchayat. Tat karma pavartana. Simply enthusiasm will not do. The formulas which are prescribed there, we must follow. We must actually apply in our life. Utsahat daryat nishchayat tatat karma pavartana. Sato vrite. And we must be, our vritti, or our profession, occupation must be very pure. Very much, must be very pure. Impure activities cannot lead one to spiritual emancipation. You will find in Bhagavad Gita that God is described Param Brahma Param Dhamma Pavitram. Paramam Bhavam. Pavitram means the purest. God is the purest. So unless we are purest, we cannot approach God. Therefore it is stated that Sato Vrite, our occupation, our vritti, should be very clear, pious. Sato Vrite. And Sadhu Sangha. Last word is very important, that all these things can be executed if we make our association with similar persons, those who are on the path of realizing spiritual perfection. We must make our association with such association. We must be associated with such society so that we can make our progress. That is, just like we are holding these classes, this is called satsanga. We are not discussing politics. We are not discussing something for sense enjoyment. We are discussing from Bhagavad Gita about the constitution of the soul, about what is God, what is our relation with Him. This is called Sato Vrite, Sat Sangha. Sat Sangha means association with the good persons who are engaged. If not 10%, at least engaged a certain portion of his life for spiritual realization. Okay, so this is all about the spiritual